Hey guys, this is Battle 3. Yes, that's right, Battle 3. So last week we had Battle 2, and it was between Exo Ox and Love. And my vote went for Love, but you guys all spoke, and your votes went for Exo Ox, A Love Story. So the winner of Book Battle 2 was Exo Ox. Today we're going to continue our Georgia Book Award nominees. And we are going to have two new books with similar titles. One is called A Different Pond. And the other is Over and Under the Pond. So let us begin with Book Battle 3. A Different Pond. Dad wakes me quickly so Mom can keep sleeping. It will be hours before the sun comes up. In the kitchen, the bare bulb is burning. Dad has been up for a while, making sandwiches and packing the car. "Can I help?" I ask. "Sure," my dad whispers, and he hands me the tackle box. The streetlights look brighter and the roads aren't so busy before the sun comes up. Dad turns on the heater and tells me stories. A kid at my school said my dad's English sounds like a thick, dirty river. But to me, his English sounds like gentle rain. We stop at the bait store on Lake Street. It always seems to be open. "You're here early today," the bait man says. "I got a second job," my dad explains. "I have to work this morning." "On a Saturday?" the bait man asks. My dad nods. I feel the bag of minnows move. They swim like silver arrows in my hand. It's still dark when we get to the pond. We park the car and climb over the divider between the road and the trees. My dad holds my hand and walks ahead through the tangle and scrub. "Step where I step," he says. I'm thinking about what Dad told the bait man. "If you got another job, why do we still have to fish for food?" I ask. "Everything in America costs a lot of money," he explains. I feel calluses on his hands when he squeezes mine. Sometimes Hong Man is at the pond. He speaks English like my dad, and he likes to tell funny jokes. Sometimes there's a black man there too. He shows me his colorful lure collection. This time, it's just me and my dad. It is a little bit cold. I rub my hands together, yawn, and look up to see faint stars that look like freckles. As Dad sits up in a clearing, I gather small, thin twigs for a fire. They need to be dry and clean. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 10 more for later. I put some rocks in a circle and set up the twigs like a volcano. Dad reminds me. I set one end of each twig down, the other up, leaning them in so they rest against each other and hold each other up. I get to light it with just one match. Dad nods. You want to put a minnow on the hook? Dad asked. I want to help, but I shake my head no. I don't want to hurt the little fish, even if I know it's about to be eaten by a bigger one. My dad smiles. He isn't upset with me. Dad hands me a sandwich, cold bologna between two pieces of bread. Careful of the spicy stuff, he said. There's half a peppercorn, like a moon split in two, studded in the meat. I used to fish by a pond like this. One when I was a boy in Vietnam, Dad says, biting into his sandwich. With your brother, I ask. He nods, then looks away. Dad tells me about the war, but only sometimes he and his brothers fought side by side. One day, his brother didn't come home. The bobber dips in the dark and Dad pulls. Got one, he says, almost shouting. A crappie. And soon another. Can I help? I ask. He nods, and I use two hands to help guide the fish into the bucket. The fish feels slimy and rough at the same time. Dad laughs at the funny face I make. Dad smiles, his teeth broken and white in the dark, because we have a few fish and he knows we will eat tonight. Time to go home. Dad must get ready for work. He washes his hands with a small nub of green and white soap, and then I do the same. I look at the trees as we walk back to the car. I wonder what the trees look like at the other pond in the country my dad comes from. By the time we got home, the sunlight coming through the window is just a faint tint, blue and gray instead of gold. At home, Mom looks tired, but she smiles at the fish in the big white bucket. My dad changes his clothes and gets ready to go to work. He pats me on the back and says to Mom, our boy did a good job with the fire today. You learn so quickly, Mom says. Then she asks me to help with the fish before she has to go to work too. I'm sad that she and Dad must leave, but not too sad. I know that later they will both come home. Look after your baby brother, Mom reminds my brothers and sisters. She means me. Then she gets on her bike and goes to work. Tonight, when we are all home, Dad will put rice in the cooker and Mom will fry the fish on both sides until they are crispy. I will bring out the jar of fish sauce that has flecks of chili pepper and carrots floating on top. At the table, my brothers and sisters will tell funny stories. Mom will ask about their homework, and Dad will nod and smile and eat with his eyes half closed. Good fish, he will say to me. And I will smile and nod, and later, when we sleep, we will dream of fish in faraway ponds. The end. A different pond. Now, over and under the pond. Over the pond we slide, splashing through the lily pads, sweeping through the reeds. The water's a mirror reflecting the sky, sunshine and clouds, then a shadow below. What's down there, I ask. Under the pond, Mom says. Under the pond is a whole hidden world of minnows and crayfish, turtles and bullfrogs. We're paddling over them now. Over the pond, we skim past tall rushes, whirligig beetles loop and twirl, skaters on a warm summer surface. Under the pond, minnows dart through waving forests of grass, while a brook trout lurks ready to lunge. Over the pond we lift and dip and pull past a row of painted turtles on a waterlogged tree. 1, 2, 3. They slip off and away. Splash, gurgle, sploosh under the pond. Over the pond, cattails rustle and shush in the wind. Listen close. Cockle-a-ree! Red-winged blackbirds race by. One has grass for her nest. Under the pond, a caddisfly larva builds a home of her own, a secret shelter of pebbles and sand. Over the pond, the shadows of trees lean out from the shore. We coast under a low hanging branch. A moose looks up with a mouthful of water lilies. We interrupted his lunch. Under the pond, beavers dive deep. They pump with powerful tails and rise to the surface with delectable roots from the mud. Over the pond, the wind gives us a push and stirs the light dappled leaves on the shore. There on a branch, a new goldfinch teeters, finally ready to fly. And under the pond, tadpoles are changing, learning to hop. They're losing their tails, growing legs, growing up. Over the pond, there at the shore, tall and silent and still, a great blue heron stares down into the deep. It tenses, takes one long-legged step, and strikes. It catches a wiggling quicksilver minnow from where it was hiding under the pond. Over the pond we drift, heads tipped up to the sun. A woodpecker clings to a teetering pine, digging for ants. And under the pond, an otter claws for freshwater mussels. Over the pond, a sleepy dragonfly lands for a rest. His spindly legs tickle my knee. And under the pond, dragonfly larvae watch what swims by. They catch minnows in monster jaws. Over the pond, the shadows stretch. Ospreys circle on quiet wings. Raccoons and mink stalk the shoreline for supper. Under the pond, with a flip of a tail, a crayfish disappears in the dark. Over the pond we head for home. We glide, swish, bump, right up onto the shore as far off loon calls good night. The sky turns from sunset to dusk to dark. Night settles over the pond. The prowling catfish and drowsy turtles, the scuttling crayfish and tadpoles turned frogs, wading herons and stalking raccoons. And the hidden world under the pond. The end. Over and under the pond. So today's choices are a different pond or over and under the pond. So don't forget to put your votes in. See you tomorrow.